In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome to an episode of the Genius Brain Podcast, quarantine style in the house. We're doing this still in the home right now. The Genius Brain Podcast will be moving to a new office because the office that I'm using right now kind of sucks ass. They closed down because of the COVID situation, and we have my co-host for the meantime, Mariel, everybody.
Hi, こんにちは。久しぶりです。
My fiance of now not even a year, but my girlfriend for 4 before fiance. About. I proposed to her in Japan, next to the Kamogawa River.
Oh, you remember the river name?
Of course, I proposed there. Sugoi. That's right. Sugoi to the max, baby. I proposed to her next to the Kamogawa River. If you guys don't know what the Kamogawa River, or as other people call it, the Kamo River. I'm not sure if that's true.
It is.
Okay, thank God. It was a river that she commuted next to while she was in Kyoto. So when we went to Japan, it was for a business trip, and I actually paid for a ticket because I didn't want her to suspect anything.
I had no idea.
Damn straight. You want to hear the funniest story too?
What?
So on the way, when I was proposing to her, I didn't really plan out where to propose to her because I didn't know her. I didn't want to prod with too many questions about her relationship with Kyoto or Japan, because if I did, it would give it away. It's like, why is he asking so many questions?
I know.
Right? So I was like, okay, when I'm there, I have to figure it out as we go, as you start to say things. And then I'm like, oh, okay. So,
I usually say things as we go. I'm like, oh, I used to do this over here. Or if you go over there, this is what I used to do.
And then you were like, there's this river I used to commute at all the time. And it's like right over there where we're in Kyoto. I was like, boom, I got it. So I had to figure out a time that we could go. But because our sleeping schedule was so different over there, we would wake up at 4 a.m. either way.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, we can get there before everybody else does, and we can get there at sunrise.
And on top of that, this was like very lucky for us, is that throughout the whole week, it was supposed to be raining. But for some reason, those couple days when we were in Kyoto, it was sunny. And it was beautiful.
Jinx, baby. Yeah, but it was super beautiful, and if I do say so myself. But that's not the funny part. The fucking funny part was when we were about to propose, right? And this is during the time my brother had a girlfriend. This woman says, as I have the ring on me, she goes, you know, it'd be really funny if your brother proposed to his girlfriend before you proposed to me. I'd be so pissed. And in my mind, I was like, you better shut the hell up, woman. You don't know what I'm about to rock your world. You don't know shit.
Hey, prior to that, okay, here's the story. So we were talking about getting engaged for a really long time, and he's been talking about it for about a year. And I'm like, okay, now it needs to get a little bit serious. We've been dating for 4 years. When is this going to happen? Pressure. And I looked at him, I was like, so when is it going to happen? He looked at me and asked, oh, I got to do it? And I'm like, what?
Little did she know, we actually planned that Japan trip way like 6-7 months in advance, and I already decided that I was going to do it there.
Really, huh?
Ba-dum, boom, 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 boom.
Sure.
So you over here just grilling me, and I'm like,
I'll give you the credit.
It was so annoying because I already knew where I wanted to do it, but she was grilling me so much for like 6-7 months. It was pissing me off. And it's like, if you keep this up, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to drown you in the river instead.
Whatever. I had to give you a deadline.
I didn't need no deadline, dude. You know what? I was going to propose to you in the first 3 years we were together, but you wasn't ready for all this.
Oh, no, I was not ready indeed. And I know you. So I need to give you a deadline. I need to give you a little poke here and there.
I already knew when I was going to do it. You know what?
Overall, let's say that the proposal was fabulous.
You want to tell me what the original proposal was?
Yeah.
So this was the original proposal. You would have hated it.
I didn't know. What? You never told me about this.
You either would have loved it or you would have hated it. So before I decided I was going to do it in Japan.
Oh my God. Was this going to be a joke?
It was going to be a huge joke. So this was the original proposal. So if you guys don't already know, Mariel is a huge Disney fan. Like, you love Disney. Like, when I first met her, I did not like the first Frozen. And the first Frozen is a film that changed her life, apparently. Like,
it did.
It was a life-changing experience.
It wasn't because like I'm a huge Disney fan, because at that time Disney didn't really release great movies back then, because they were transferring from 2D to 3D.
No, they had like Toy Story. That was
That's
Pixar.
Pixar. It's different. Yeah. And I mean, they had Tangled, but that was like about it. And so I wasn't really into Disney, but then when I watched it with no expectation, I just heard that it was great. So I was like, okay, my mom wanted to go watch it. I was like, okay, let's go in. Came out crying and had like this whole revolution of like
Revelation.
Revelation.
You're about to turn shit up. I had a revolution.
Basically, this epiphany of my life, because long story short, I was at a pretty low point in that at that time.
This was before you met me?
This was before I met you. Yeah.
So Frozen came out before you met me. And
Yeah.
then I watched Frozen with you for my first time.
Yes.
That's right.
Correct.
And it wasn't in theaters. It was in my living room.
Yes. Yeah. Was it?
It was in my living room in K-Town.
Didn't we?
We didn't watch it in theaters together.
Oh, okay.
We watched it and we were in the living room on that gray couch watching it, and I did not like it. And then you made me stop watching it.
Really?
Yeah, you said I couldn't watch the movie anymore, so I didn't finish the film.
Really?
Yeah, then we watched it again later and I finished it. But
I
the first
remember
time-
we had that conversation. You're like, I don't like it. I'm like, what?
Yeah, you said you're not allowed to watch this film anymore. And then you turned it off.
I was so sensitive about it because it changed my life. I mean, Frozen is the reason how I got into Disney. Oh, it was the first start of how I changed my perspective in my life and got into Disney.
What do you mean?
Basically, it gave me motivation, inspirations. I was just so curious. I looked up and like did all these random stuff, and basically, it gave me a reason to move forward. Because at that
But
time,
what was it about the film, though?
the film. Well, first, I was very fascinated by the technology of it. Just how realistic those fabrics were. And at that time, I don't know anything about animation. I just remember how amazing the technology was. It's just like I could almost feel that dress. I could almost sense how soft it would be if I touched it. And the animation was great. I think the story was amazing. I felt like I was at that time. It's interesting because like at that time, from other person's point of view, they probably thought, oh, Mariel's just like Anna. But for me at that time, during that phase, I felt like I was Elsa. And
What do you mean? What do you just like Anna? Explain.
in terms of my personality is very bubbly, and I'm very like, the Genki girl, the positive vibe girl.
Genki means happy.
Genki means happy.
Yeah.
And a lot of people told me like, oh, Anna reminds me of you. Anna reminds me of you, whatever. But at that time, I was in a very low phase and a low point in my life. And I felt like I was like Elsa, where I couldn't figure out how to open the doors, basically. Like, I feel like I was closed in and I didn't know how to get out of it. And I was struggling about that. And that emotion connected so well with Elsa at that time. And I think it gave me a reason to be interested in something. Because at that time, I had basically, long story short, again, I don't want to go into this side, but I had an accident in Taiwan and had to come back, and I had to rest for a really long time. And that was pretty depressing because I couldn't do much in terms of like, walking around, or like I had to stay in bed for about a year. And it was a struggle for me to get back up physically and emotionally. And my mom helped me a lot in that kind of sense, where she would take me out and then she wanted to go watch Frozen. And that was like a turning point for me.
Oh, okay. That's so weird that a CG animated film did that.
I know.
And I was kind of giggling before because she was like, I was looking at the dress and it was almost like I could feel it. And the reason why I know this to be true, how much she likes the technological side of CG animation. She used to piss me off when we watch movies and we're trying to watch something, right? And she knows I hate this. Like when I'm watching a film being spoken to, if it's like a film, like TV shows, whatever. But we're like, this is the Jungle Book that we're watching, right? and I literally, this is so funny because she said this to me where she goes, you know what I hate? I hate it when people talk in movies. She goes, my friends, they talk so much and it annoys me so much. And I'm like, cool, you and I, we're the same. We don't like it when people talk to us in films. Right when the movie starts, do you see the CG animation in this film? Let me tell you something. So when they do this, I looked at it, I was like, what the fuck?
Because like they weren't doing anything, they weren't talking, so I was just admiring.
The movie just started, and then you wanted to
name.
break down the technological advancements of this.
Think about it. I'm the less talking person.
I could only
among my friends.
I would strangle them.
Yeah.
You know who Ray hates it the most?
I don't. I wouldn't even go to the theaters with Ray because
Ray doesn't go to the theater with anybody. He watches films by himself. Yeah, all he does is watch films by himself because he can't stand when people talk in films, and he watches it like late at night.
Yeah,
because he doesn't want anybody to be in there.
Yeah, so I mean.
Oh yeah, but anyways, the original proposal.
Oh yeah,
just to give the background for her Disney love. The original proposal was I hit up a VFX artist, a friend of mine, and I was going to recreate Beauty and the Beast. And you were going to come into the house, right? And I was going to have like a makeshift thing where the outside and the inside looks like a castle. And when you come in, it was literally going to be set up where somebody grabs you. And then, in that back area that was the podcast room, it was going to be set up as a cage, and you're going to be thrown in that cage. And inside that cage was going to be your father, not your actual dad, but an actor that plays your dad.
What the freak?
And then you were going to have to trade places with him because the VFX artist, the makeup artist, was going to put my face as a beast.
That is horrifying.
Then you would have to trade places with your dad, right? And then he would kind of like, I was going to get the actor to kind of nudge you towards the lines because you'll figure out easy that this is actually Beauty and the Beast because you'll see my face. And then I was going to record everything. And then after that, I'm going to have somebody dress up as, the dresser.
Oh,
lady,
yeah.
And she was going to be in my room, and we were going to decorate it out as in Beauty and the Beast stuff.
Well, take
you to the room, and then she was going to make you dress up for dinner. And then I was going to scream, "Would you like to come to dinner?" And you're going to say no, because you know the lines.
Yeah.
And then I was going to scream at you, then starve.
And then I go cry on the bed.
And it was going to be this whole funny ordeal. But then I kind of like...
That's a lot of work.
It was going to cost a lot of money. That's why. Just the makeup alone was going to be like $3,000. So like that...
Yeah, when you're a millionaire, let's do that.
When I calculated how much it was, I was like, this is going to cost more than the ring and the trip put together. Just because I wanted to laugh. You know what I mean? I was like, this is the most expensive joke ever. It was going to be like close to like 12... Like, no. It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
It would have been a great video.
It would have, but I think the video would have just been more for my entertainment.
Yeah. I don't know if I would have liked that as a proposal.
It would have been hilarious, but the original one was to scare you shitless and make it Disney themed. And then I was advised not to do it.
Who advised you?
Everybody.
Okay, great. Everybody, thank you so much.
Yeah, that's what the original proposal was.
Because if you asked me, how were you going to ask me
What is that noise? Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
I don't know. How were you going to ask me?
What?
Like, how were you going to propose at the end?
Well, after I get you upstairs in the Ann Star thing, right? I was going to dress up, and then downstairs in the living room area was going to be put up as like a ball area, and we would dance and everything else. So it would be like a mini version of the film, just very sped up.
That's a lot of work.
It is. It was just one of those things that I was trying to be really creative with. Because I thought it'd be fun. It'd be really, really funny.
That would be, but it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, and just that makeup alone would be ridiculous. And it's a very long process.
And how would you change from, would you be Beast the whole time?
Yes. It would have been funny. A really fat Beast. No, I was skinny by then.
Yeah, you were pretty skinny.
Yeah, I was thin by then.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was the original plan.
I'm so glad that didn't happen. That was quite entertaining to hear. But 거기까지. Only up to there.
It would have been funny. Yeah. But anyways, guys, you guys were very interested in us talking about this show called Terrace House.
Terrace House.
I love Terrace House to the fucking max.
めっちゃ大好きです. めっちゃ大好きです. Okay.
So just to give you guys a background, if you guys don't know already, last time we talked about Terrace House, people really liked it. So Terrace House is a reality TV show based in Japan. They go to different parts of Japan. Sometimes there was one in Kyoto. There was one in Tokyo. They went to Tokyo again. Wasn't it Kyoto or Osaka? No,
it was somewhere else. It was like in the countryside.
Yeah, some countryside, which looked really beautiful, by the way.
I love that one.
They went to Hawaii. Shout out to my best friend, Yusuke. That's my best friend right there, dude. Love that guy.
One of my photos that that I posted on my Instagram, our first date photo, they said that you look like Yusuke.
That's cool. I think he's a cute guy.
He is. He's a pretty good looking guy.
Yeah, that's a compliment. He's a little bitch. That's all. But
Yikes.
yeah, but so in this new season, it's so interesting because there's a character that I really, really enjoy on the show. His name is number one. First of all, she loves this guy, and every fucking woman on this show, if you guys watch this latest season, they love this guy. He left later on, but his name is Ryo. Oh. He is this basketball player.
Ryo.
Very handsome.
This is part 3 that we're talking about. Prior to that, it was part 2 where Pepe left, and I'm really sad.
Pepe was this Italian manga artist.
Pepe left in beginning of part 3, actually. Remember?
In the beginning of part 3. He was there for a majority of the time.
Oh my God, the first episode of part 3 where he finally saw his first publish.
Yeah.
Oh, I cried so much.
Pepe is a really cool dude. He's an Italian manga artist that moved to Japan. He was I forgot what inspired him exactly, but he came here to become a manga artist. And so his goal in the house was to make sure that dream came true. Yeah. And it finally did. And when it did, it was his time to leave the home.
Yeah. And it was interesting because the first time he ever saw his manga get published, he went to a convenience store and...
Oh my God, this woman was crying her eyes out.
Because it was such a great moment where he was just celebrating on his own. He looked at it, looked through all the pages, realizing that it's published, it's out there, and nobody was around him. He didn't celebrate it with, friends or whatever. He just looked at it, enjoyed it, and absorbed that moment, and it was silent. And I was just tearing up because you could see how much...
You're tearing up right now as you're thinking about it.
You can see how hard he worked. And it's just like, otsukare and omedetou. Oh, and I'm crying.
I can't believe you're crying. What are you crying for?
It's just he works so hard.
Mariel is a very sensitive soul. This is one of my funniest stories that she's ever done. So just to go back on the topic of us watching movies. But so you guys remember, Paul Walker, rest in peace. He passed away. So we went to go watch Fast and Furious. It was the last film that he was in where they had to put him in CG towards the end. This woman is so ridiculous. We're watching the film and there's that part where it goes, "It's been a long day without you, my friend. And I tell you all about it when I say," that song. Yeah. And then Paul Walker is in his car. He looks over at Dom Toretto. They kind of smile. It's a CG version of himself. And then he drives.
Vin Diesel, you mean?
Dom Toretto. Vin Diesel is his actor name. Oh. Okay. He didn't play.
Of course, you said Paul Walker. Yeah. And I was like, okay.
And then that's true. That's my bad. But as he's driving off, they kind of look at each other and that song comes on. And I see Mariel bawling her eyes out as if she was at a funeral. Like, you were crying so much. Thing. Like, I understand the tears part, right? But the amount that you were crying was unreal. And I looked over.
I was invested, okay? I grew up watching Fast and the Furious. I watched most of the sequels. So I'm invested in this.
So did I. But the way...
You have no emotions.
I was a very emotional part. But it's not the fact that you cried. It was how much you were crying that threw me off.
The song didn't help, okay?
And then what she responded to was the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I go, "What? Why are you crying so much?" Like, in the theater, she goes, "It's my final goodbye." I was like... Are you best friends with Paul Walker? Are you telling me that something I know? Did you used to date him or something? It's my final goodbye.
I am invested in these. Okay, when I watch it, I imagine myself being in that moment, in that story. That's why. When Pepe was looking at it, nothing was happening.
It was the grandma that was there that I think sent it over the edge.
It did. I was getting very emotional when I was just like, man, I'm so proud of you. I don't even know you, Pepe, but I know that you're very passionate. You work really hard for it, and then you achieved it.
Composed? What?
Oh my God, I lost a word.
Yeah, either way, she was very, very emotional at that scene. And he was actually one of my favorite characters. And the reason why is he has a quality that I really, really enjoy. So, and what I mean by that is that I think growing up, for me anyways, people were categorized in certain things and you couldn't break out of it. Like, for example, if you were a jock, you were a jock. And what came along with jock was that you were a muscle meathead that had a very low IQ. That's just what you were, right? In high school, I think a lot of people do that. If you're a geek, you're a nerd. You're the guy that's a Poindexter. He gets good grades. He's never going to get a girlfriend. He's a dweeb, whatever, right? And then what we're finding out now, specifically because of like social media and people being able to show out, and they're finding that there's a community outside of this small little box that people put you in, that you can be multiple things, right? You can be a dweeb that's
charismatic,
that has confidence. And that's what Pepe is. Pepe is a fucking dweeb, but in the best way possible. Like, he's nerdy. He likes his little cartoon, his mangas. And he's kind of like, he's like freaking Italian as shit. He's like hyper Italian.
Yeah. He's a shy Italian.
Yeah. Like, he's a little bit more reserved than like the typical like machismo Italian man that, you know, that you kind of picture with like a rose in his mouth, like making pasta every day.
Yeah.
Which he did make pasta almost every day.
I know. And it looks so good.
Yeah. But he kind of like categorizes what I like about somebody is that you can be very cool. You can be very charismatic and confident, even though categorically people think you're very dweeby, because dweeb is not an insult. It's just kind of like, it is what you are. Like, you're a dweeb.
Like, you're a geek.
Yeah,
you
can be a geek or nerd or whatever, but it doesn't mean that you can't be cool.
Yeah.
And that's what I really liked about him, because he has no shame in...
He's very true to himself.
Yeah, there's nothing to be ashamed of.
He doesn't perform like, you know, when he likes a girl, he shows who he is.
Yeah, he's a good looking guy. He's not muscular or anything like that. He has his charisma about him, his confidence.
Yeah.
He's very goal oriented.
Very adorable, very passionate. I think he has a good sense of humor.
Very great sense of humor.
Yeah, very positive. He's very optimistic. You know, it's just, you see the bright side of him. And I think that's very attractive.
And so it's very refreshing for me to see, because I used to see a lot of people, and these are the people that I distance myself from now. It's like, especially like in social media, you know, some of these YouTubers, like when they were younger, or not even just YouTubers, like people who are actors or whatever, for some reason, there's this weird habit when people come into the city, they stop being who they were before, because they come into a new city and they try to create a new identity. But it's like, let me tell you something. If you were a dweeb since you were fucking 1 year old, like I was, you're a dweeb all the way through and through. It seeps out of your skin. Problem is now is like, what I hate is it doesn't have to be a dweeb or a nerd. It could be like a thug or whatever. You are who you are. Just own it. And when you try to be something that you're not, it's so uncomfortable looking at you and being around you.
Are you talking about people who are adults?
Adults. These are adults.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking like college, people go to college to find themselves, but they don't know who they are.
Yeah.
So they like put up a face on it. You know, they try to become a whole different person. And I think that's a great phase to explore who you are. But then after you pass your college phase, like, I think that's when you should be really true to yourself.
Or try to figure it out. And it's sad because it's not just a college thing. I thought that in colleges, that's where it would end, because it was very prevalent in college. And I would see that in a lot of people. For example, there was this dude that I met in college. I talked about it before with Joe. His name was Andy. And long story short. He was a Chinese dude. I can't remember.
Andy Lam.
I want to say Andy. There was a guy named Andrew Jang, and there was another dude named Andy. Oh God, it's blanking right now, but if I think about it, I'll remember his name. But long story short, if people haven't heard this on the previous podcast with Joe, Andy was one of those guys that was clearly like a geek in the worst way possible. Not a very cool geek or nerd, right? It's like, I had this other friend, his name was Tony. Tony, I love this guy to death. He was like a magnet school kid, but just the coolest like nerd dude I ever met in my life, right? This other kid, Andy, he for some reason thought that he wanted to convince everybody that he was a gangster. I don't fucking know, but I kid you fucking not. I can still remember.
Not attractive.
I can still remember clear as day the first time I ever saw him. It was at not my dorm, but my friend's dorm, and that was the dorm that I used to kick it in a lot. It was an older dorm, but it just had all my friends there.
That phase, it was during college. I guess that was popular.
I remember him because his room was at the far end of the dormitory, and when he was walking up to me, he had a black beater. He had a black wife beater on, a wife black beater.
This is quarantine side effect.
Yes, he had a black tank top. on, the ones that you get from Fruit of the Loom, the really tight one to your body.
Like a wife beater?
Yeah. Yeah. So those super tight ones.
Yeah.
And then he was wearing these baggy basketball shorts. He was kind of hunched over a little bit, had these little Asian spikes in his hair, and he was like kind of sagging and walking at the same time. And I thought it was like a joke. I was like, who is this guy? Is he like making a joke or something? But he's like, what's up? And I'm like, I'm going to slap the fucking shit out of you, dude. Immediately. Because he was trying to act all tough, kind of mean mug people. And I'm like, bro, first of all, he had like a stutter, right? He had a stutter and like a weird slight lisp. And I'm like, who the fuck are you scaring right now, man? We're all college students here. Like, why would you even? And he's like, the funniest thing about this was, there was this point where this dude his name was James, and James is actually from Diamond Bar. This guy's a little fucking drug addict, rich ass kid. His dad does exporting, whatever that fucking means. But just he lives in the country. In Diamond Bar,
country club. Okay.
Yeah, so he lives in the country, big ass house. His house looks like a fucking castle.
Yeah, they have elevators.
Yes, exactly that type of shit. Like he had maids that raised him. Wow. So, but he would. The weird thing about James was he was a kleptomaniac. So he would steal shit all the time. It was like his exciting thing. Like a buddy of mine told me that he once stole like a snowboard and just walked out with it.
That's
like he just
weird.
loves stealing shit. The guy's like dead in the brain. Long story short, he steals a bunch of Hungry Man dinners from a Food for Less.
What?
He was just stealing shit, right? I didn't know. But he just had a bunch. So basically what he did, he just walked into a Food for Less and just started dumping it into the cart and just walked out with it and nobody stopped him. But he would steal shit all the time. And I think he was so dumb and it would look so confident. It looked like he already paid for it. He didn't look suspicious because he was just that dumb. So these Hungry Man dinners, he gave it to everybody in the dorm. He was like, yo, just put it in your freezer or whatever. Cool. Gave me a bunch, gave other people a bunch. I gave it to this guy, Andy, fucking whatever her name is, Andy, right?
The different Andy?
Yeah. This is the weird guy that was acting like he was a thug. So Andy comes out and he asks, he basically tells a buddy Rishi and us, he goes, yo man, he goes, can I talk to you guys real quick? Yo, so I used to get in a lot of trouble and shit like that. And I have like, cops looking for me.
Oh my God.
And I'm cringing just telling this fucking story because I wanted to blow my brains out listening to this guy. And he was like, I can't have these Hungry Man dinners because I might have to go to jail if I get caught with this stuff. And I'm like,
what the heck?
Number one, I'm going to slap the fucking shit out of you.
That's
clearly he has never done a bad thing in his life. Hungry Man dinners, like he was acting as if a SWAT team was going to fly through the window and scream for his Hungry Man dinners. Like where the fuck, like guy, shut the fuck up. And there was so many people like this in college, and it used to make me sick because I think at the time we're all young. We're trying to figure out who we are.
Yeah.
Right. And arguably, I probably did the opposite. Like I try to hide who I was because I didn't want people to judge me. I didn't want people to know that I was a kid that grew up poor and everything else like that.
Of course, we want to blend in.
Yeah, I just wanted to blend in a little bit, right? Yeah. But my tendencies come out. Like it is what it is. It is who I am. And when I got more comfortable, which was so weird because I was doing stand up at that time. I just kind of decided that, you know what, dude, I'm just gonna be myself.
Yeah.
And then when I started being myself, I started feeling a lot better. But that's when like I kind of had the reputation of just literally saying whatever was on my mind.
Yeah.
Because I got sick of it. In college is where I really got sick of it. I was like, these people around me are so fucking fake. Just be your fucking self. Like literally it got to a point, people were like, I need a bracelet that says, what would David do? Because you remember that time the WWJD, what would Jesus do? Yeah. They're like, where's a bracelet that says, what would David do? Because I
punch something.
Yeah. I mean, at that time, but it wasn't that. It was more like just be yourself. Just say whatever the fuck you want. There was this other guy, his name was, I think his name was Darren, but this dude was fucking obnoxious. It's
so crazy how you remember college, like these moments.
Because I remember
so
these people
clearly.
because I hated them. Like I hated being around them.
I don't even remember my roommate names, my freshman
Really?
roommates.
I remember all of them, dude.
I mean, I remember who they are, but I don't remember their names. I'm trying to remember my freshman year, my roommate, she was a American lady, and I remember
American. What do you mean American?
She was white.
Okay, yeah, white. Say white person. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, I had two roommates. One was a Chinese American. She was super whitewashed, and then the other one was straight up like sorority girl, white girl. And I was in a triplet room, and I was just being myself. I'm like, I have my, I love watching anime, so I will watch my anime. I love my Korean food, so I have my kimchi, my ramen, my whatever, And one time I was alone in the room, and I was watching anime, having my kimchi and my instant ramen. And then this girl, the white girl, my white roommate, she comes in with her friend. And she comes in and gives me like the most disgusting look of like, what just happened in this room? What is this smell? And she's like, oh, what is this smell? And that was a shocking moment for me because I grew up around Asian. So I never
Everybody knows that smell.
Yeah. I never ever thought that someone would say that or even think of it as like a disgusting smell. It's just kimchi smell. But she didn't grow up around Asian. She's super white. And so she had no idea what happened. And on top of that, she's hearing like, you know, I was watching Bleach at that time. And then, you know, Bleach, they make a lot of like screaming noises.
Yeah.
And she's not used to that. So all she hears is behind my laptop. So her and her friend are like looking at each other, and I'm like, I am that girl that, you know, the typical geek girl that white people judge. So
isn't that weird though? Like,
I was so shocked.
Here's the weird part now. If you think about it, nowadays that would never happen.
Yeah,
a white person would walk into your room and be like, bro, I love kimchi. Can I get some of that?
Dude, I love Totoro.
Isn't that crazy how much it's changed though? Because
it's crazy.
These, and you know, we call them like school lunchbox moments, right? And what I mean by lunchbox moments is like when we were a kid and we had Asian food, right?
Yeah.
If we brought our Asian food to a school, and mind you, like my school had a lot of Asian kids, but even then, no matter what, even if we had a lot of Asian kids, it was still however prevalent it was, the American sandwich, the ham and cheese sandwich, whatever was the standard.
With the white bread.
Which by the way, I love, baby. That's just delicious to me.
I don't like it.
I love that shit. That to me,
the peanut butter and jelly sandwich with Wonder Bread, I did not understand that, but I still wanted it.
That right there was that golden stuff. I don't know why I wanted it so bad.
I hated it, but I wanted it.
I think because it also like expressed how American you were. You know, this podcast is brought to you by Fiverr, my friends. If you have not heard of Fiverr before, what are you doing with your life? If you need freelance talent that you need for personal projects or maybe even a small business or just something that you're doing for fun. Like for me, I use Fiverr for to find illustrators for album art covers or anything that I need for my small businesses because there are a lot of people out there that can help you get you what you need. And they offer a lot of different services, man. And on top of that, let me just give you a quick list of why Fiverr is super, super easy to use. You can search by service, deadline, price, reviews, and you'll know exactly what you're paying for upfront. No negotiating needed. And it's 24/7 customer service. Sellers have worked with some of the most influential brands in the world. Finding talent for your project has never been easier. You can review seller ratings, buyer feedback, and select the right freelancer based on your budget. So it just basically makes it pain free for you. You don't have to go by word of mouth. You could actually see ratings and reviews. I've used it multiple times, and every time I've used them, I've got exactly what I needed on the said time, which by the way is not an easy thing, especially when you work with certain freelance people who don't follow these deadlines. But every time I have used Fiverr, I've got the stuff on a very timely manner and the communication was very seamless. So check out Fiverr.com today and receive 10% off your first order by using my code GB. It's so easy. Find all the digital services you need in one place at Fiverr.com, code GB. Again, that's Fiverr.com, code GB. And so that definition of what being an American was literally based on these school lunch foods. And that's where it kind of molds your idea of what it is to be an American, right? And so I remember when I was a kid too, I used to try to bring like a kimchi 볶음밥, kimchi fried rice, right? And I remember the first person that stopped me wasn't even one of the kids, it was my dad. My dad was like, hey, don't bring that to school. I was like, why?
How would he know?
I think it's because he was just more mindful of it because he knows how bad kimchi smells to other people. Like, because in the store, people are like, yo, what's that smell? You know, and it was kimchi. And he was like, hey, don't bring that to school. But for me, I was like, I'm gonna bring it to school, right? And my dad's like, don't do it. Like people are gonna think it smells.
How old were you? Like first grade?
I can remember what the kitchen looked like and everything else, and the moment that my dad said it, and what the 볶음밥 looked like that day. But I can't remember how old I was. But it was definitely when I went to Isabel Jackson, the elementary school, because I remember that 볶음밥 because it was in a Ziploc Tupperware, and inside it was the first time my mom put button mushrooms in it, and that was the first time she put mushrooms in the kimchi 볶음밥. I remember that
kimchi
볶음밥.
fried rice.
Yeah, kimchi fried rice. So, but my dad told me not to bring it because it would smell, and other kids would make fun of me.
So what happened at school? Did you microwave it? Is there a microwave back then?
No. You just eat it cold.
Oh.
Because I can eat it cold.
I remember it was not good. When I bring it to school, I was like, why is it cold? I don't like this. And then, I would have friends who'd be like looking at me and I'm like, I want Lunchables.
Yeah. And it's and that moment too is so weird because I mean, I'm pretty sure that girl was, she didn't mean any harm when she was looking at you eating your food, but it is a weird smell. I mean, let's just be real.
Yeah, it's not a good smell.
Yeah, it's fermented fish and shrimp.
It smells like trash.
That's fermented by them just means like you're rotting it in a bowl. It smells pretty bad.
It does.
I get it,
I just didn't, middle school and high school, I grew up around a lot of Asians. So I was accustomed to like, it's fine to just eat it. Also, it was my first time, it was freshman year in college.
Oh,
so
yeah,
like,
you don't know that shit.
I don't know anything about sharing rooms with like random people. And I'm sure she didn't mean it that way too, but I'm pretty sure it was pretty shocking. I mean, if I smelled fish sauce when I walk into the
like
door, like I'm sure I would have said the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty shocking too. It's just kind of like, well, the one thing that that a lot of kids won't get now is that reaction. Like now, I think because food has opened up so much to a lot of people in America because of social media, because of digital television shows, they know what these foods are. They know what these smells are. Because now it's going to be, that smells, but I wonder what that is.
Yeah.
And that's a positive change that's happened a lot.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people people are a little bit against me when I talk about food in this sense, because sometimes when, especially in media, when they, say like white people, they think they feel like they're taking our food and getting credit for it, which kind of sucks. But the upside to that is that now that these foods and these cultures are being introduced to a culture that used to not understand it and be disgusted by it. Now they're a lot more open and they're willing to learn. Yeah. Right. Now it's just a matter of like, how respectful are they of, taking part in the culture, but not taking credit for it.
Exactly. Yes.
That's the hard part.
Yeah. And, if I look back, I wish this generation happened during our years when we were a kid, because like I could have appreciated my grandma's food a lot more.
It's hard
because back then I'd be like, grandma, or usual parents that would make the food, I'd be like, no, we don't want this because we're being judged by it. But it's such good food. And I remember I was just always kind of like shy or like trying to hide my food because it would smell, first of all, and it would not be the popular food. I just want to eat, peanut butter and jelly with everyone else. So I would
Isn't that weird how like your cultural, how American, quote unquote, you are can be even identified by the food that you put in your fucking mouth. It's so, it's like as an adult, when I look at that, it's like, why? Like, why is that so important? But when you're a kid, you just want to fit in. It's like these other kids, when they come to school, they just eat this sandwich, right? And even Vince talked about a time where Vince is the guy that shoots a lot of my videos, back in the day when I was doing a lot of food content. But Vince told a story to me a while ago where I forgot what it was. It was like sushi or something that he brought to school. Oh, and he exchanged it. He exchanged it, yeah. But people were weirded out by sushi. But if you look at it now, everybody wants sushi. Oh, yeah. They look at sushi like it's filet mignon. Like you bring sushi to school now, they're like, yo, let me get some of that. That's some fancy stuff. Yeah. And it's weird watching the evolution of food and people. I love it. I love that people are appreciating now. And like people are understanding, or they want to understand, of like, Asian food of it. Like me bringing kimchi to work now is not a weird thing. It's just like, they know it smells. So I'll make sure, to be mindful about it, but they're not going to be disgusted by it. Yeah. And that's the cool thing too, where I think even though like during these times it's kind of rough, because you see like certain areas are still the way that it is. Like you bring a bottle of kimchi, they'll make fun of you, right? Like maybe like the Midwest or some shit like that, right? There's still, big pockets of this country. LA. We're very blessed to be in California, right? Yeah. But the cool thing is that in California, from what we've seen, there's a progression now, right? It's like that definition of what it is to be a quote unquote American has changed a lot in California, right? Yeah. Because now your Americanness isn't necessarily based on like the color of your skin or what food you eat. It's more like how much you appreciate this country and how you behave. Because now to be culturally inclusive is becoming more American. I feel anyways in a city like LA. Yeah. It's interesting because it is definitely more inclusive, but also you got to be very sensitive. It got extra sensitive of like what you're going to say, how you're going to say things. I think there definitely needs to be a balance of that, because sometimes I think people are just overly sensitive. But
It's a good progress.
It's swinging back and forth. Like some, there were times where people were a little too crass. When we look at stand up back in the day, even Eddie Murphy talked about this, where Eddie Murphy said like he was embarrassed. Like when he looks back at some of his material that he used to talk about, specifically when it came to the gay community, calling them faggots, and kind of making these jokes in the expense of making fun of them without any nuance. Even Eddie Murphy says this. He goes like, yeah, I look back at that, I kind of regret that. Like, like he wasn't making an observation about gay culture in the way that he doesn't know it. He was making fun of it, and they were a butt of a joke, and it was more like faggots in a negative way, which of course it could be probably always interpreted in a negative way.
Yeah.
But if you kind of grasp what I'm saying is that there's a generational gap. So before people were really extreme, and now we swung to the other side of the pendulum where it's like you can't say anything. And I get really sad because I watched recently I saw on Netflix the Dave Chappelle Mark Twain Award. And watching that was something that kind of makes me want to go back into doing stand-up again, because a lot of comedians are the ones that I like anyways, that say things maybe not, I don't want to say important, but can make a joke out of anything, right? In that comedy realm is starting to disappear because they're so scared to say anything because they might offend somebody. Comedy is going to be offensive. You're supposed to say things that that you either think, it's just about how you do it. Like there's a sacred space in comedy where I truly feel that people should be able to work out their material, and if you don't like it, you have an option to not listen or just to leave. Simple as that. But if 80% of the crowd's laughing, and there's like that 20% or maybe even 5% that are like, that's offensive, then guess what? That comedian is actually doing their job. And
it's also, you're not,
it's a different space.
Yeah. Back in the days, like you would apply to go and watch them. Like you are
you're the one who went there to watch a comedy show.
But now it's like anyone could attend. Like you could totally make something that's not true, make it into something that's very offensive, and it could spread.
Upload a video. And the thing about that too is like, I'm not saying that you're not allowed to be offended. You are 100,000% allowed to be offended. But you should allow them to still perform their jokes. Because you're allowed to be offended, they should still be allowed to perform their jokes.
Yeah, that's really challenging.
It's a weird balance. Like I understand too, because I had to look back at this guy named, I did a podcast about it. It was, what's his name? Shane Gillis. So Shane Gillis had a podcast, and he was talking about how, he was just saying really like racially insensitive tough stuff towards Asian people. When people ask me, it's like, don't you wish he was canceled? It's like, I don't think Shane Gillis's career should be canceled because he said like highly offensive shit, because as a comic, I don't know whether it's because I'm more human or I'm more comic. I'm like, that's a crappy set, I guess, like just whatever. Because in his defense, he was saying that those were jokes. But when I was listening to him talk about Asian people and Asian culture, it didn't sound like a joke. It just sounded like he was observing how disgusted he was of Asian people. So I was like, if that's not a joke. Like there's no nuance to it. Like you're not pulling a stand-up set. You're not making a joke. And I listened to that podcast, the full of it. And I was like, no, there was no setup to it. There was no joke after it. It was just him and his buddy or his brother talking about how disgusting Asian people are. And I was like, if there was a joke in it, I definitely would have gave it a pass. But when people ask me like, should Shane Gillis have been canceled? I say no, because he'll rework his shit. He won't do that again. And then he'll make some other material. And I'm pretty sure he's fucking funny because Shane Gillis actually got into SNL. He was an SNL cast member.
Did he have a comeback about how he approached the joke?
I saw this interview of him afterwards, and he felt that he was like misrepresented or whatever, which I don't think he was misrepresented. I think the sad part is that, if in fact it was comedy, I don't think he should get canceled over those type of things. I think canceling somebody because you don't find his jokes funny is weird.
Yeah.
Like I had the right to be offended as an
Asian. You
Asian.
can criticize, but not cancel. Like it's not the end of the world. It's just you got to learn from it. Hopefully they accept it and learn.
It's hard though, because people get excited that they can cancel somebody's career over them being.
That's the thing right now is that I think that's what people are so afraid of. Like
they're always afraid.
Yeah, that it's so much easier to ruin someone's reputation now.
Well, here's the thing too. It's like I read this quote. Somebody said that just because you don't find it funny, it doesn't mean that it isn't. Or I don't know. It wasn't something like that. It was more like, it was way more profound. I'm fucking this up. It was like, just because you find it offensive doesn't mean that it's not funny. And that's facts. Sure. Just because there's a lot of people in stand-up comedy, there's in film, that I find their shit trash. But just because I think it's trash doesn't mean that it is. That's just my singular opinion of what it is.
But it's those people who can't really say out loud in front of people. They're the one who are the loudest online.
Oh, for sure.
You know, so and those are the majority of the people. Unfortunately, they're the most active people out there rather than people who are, the good people don't really say much, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's it's like there's ups and downs to it. You know, you could be more exposed, but you could also, the more exposed you are, the more hates comes along with.
Yeah. We were talking about Terrace House. Well, we went to a random tangent.
I know, you went to a comedy section. I'm like, that's not my field, but cool.
But, you know, Pepe, just to go back, I love Pepe. She loves Rio. And there's this other...
did I really though?
You really love Rio. You were...
Did I
No, you changed your perspective of him because of the new season.
Oh my God, I love the new season.
So there's this girl that came on. By the way, if I ever get to meet this girl, I want her on this podcast.
If I ever get to meet her, I wanna have a handshake.
Okay.
Okay, maybe a hug. I want a hug.
She is this German
air hug.
Girl.
German, Russian.
German. Well, I think she's German ethnically, but she moved to Russia. So she's German descent, but she's Russian in the sense of
raised in Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Raised in Russia. So,
but she went to Japan after high school and stayed there for about 6 years growing up. She wanted to go to university over there, special university. I don't know if it was fashion or something.
I believe it was for fashion. Yeah.
Fashion. Yeah. And then she thought that was her passion. And then it actually developed to something else where she's modeling there and trying to become an aspiring actress. And she is the most cute, adorable, charismatic, mature, nice, amazing lady ever.
And the reason why she doesn't like Rio, if you guys watch this season, is because of how Rio and Vivi, their relationship starts to develop. And this is the reason why I like this show. What they're going through isn't like real world bullshit in terms of real world, the reality TV show.
Oh no. This is like stuff, Korean drama moment.
Well, it's like stuff that every one of us has gone through, and we're seeing it unwrap into like other people's personal relationships because it's not highly exaggerated. It just is what it is. So Rio and Vivi are in this weird situation, right? So you know, like when you watch somebody and you could tell like there's heart eyes, like they're flirting. There was this moment on the show where Vivi just literally butt moved him with her butt they were arguing about who's gonna wash the dishes. And I'm like, those two are gonna fuck eventually. That's the first thing I thought.
Really?
Yeah, I was like,
I was more like, damn, that girl's cute.
nah, I was like, that's some major flirting right there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love that scene.
Because the first thing I thought was Mariel used to do that with me, and now she just farts in front of me 24/7.
Hey, we fart each other.
Yeah, dude. Let me tell you something. This girl, she's been tuning.
We make music out of fart.
This woman.
This is how we communicate at quarantine time.
This woman has been farting like a shipping boat.
Whatever. As if you didn't. Okay?
I'm not saying I didn't. I'm just shocked about how much you fart now.
It's the food that you give me. I eat a lot of cheese thanks to you.
Well, we don't eat a lot of cheese.
Yeah, we had pizza last night and I was farting away.
Look, the only cheese that we have in this house, I usually eat, like those cheese wheels for snacks.
That's why you fart all the time. I gotta reply.
And the ice cream.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta reply with a fart.
I gotta reply.
Right back at me?
Yes. It's the same communication, same language.
Our farts don't smell. They're just loud as fuck.
I know. Yours, on the other hand.
They tend to have a slight tinge of an odor.
I die.
Every now and then. Not all the time.
I squeal inside.
Not all the time.
Not all the time.
But when they do smell.
You do warn me, and it's too late by then.
Yeah. I can tell by the heat that comes out of my ass. If it's hot, it's going to smell. If it's nice and cool, no smell.
That's so gross.
I wonder why.
I don't know. And you go to the bathroom really well.
Yeah. But
anyway.
Vivi and Yo, they
I love
were...
Vivi. Vivi. Sorry.
I think the weird part, too, is like... There was a point on the show where she and I were having differences, not like me and Mariel, about our opinion of Rio.
Oh, yeah. I was told, I mean, honestly, I'm pretty biased about it because I'm feeling for Vivi, like how hurtful she is. Or, well, spoilers alert. Anyway, just how the pain she's going through, I could totally sympathize with her. Yeah, in a way I could sympathize with Rio, but not really. Like, I'm just like, my heart is all on Vivi.
Yeah, I mean, well, because in the show, Rio and her have this very off and on relationship, but the flirting that they have is really big.
Yeah.
Like it's highly apparent.
Vivi's very straightforward.
Very, very short, which by the way was very refreshing to see a woman come out and be like, this is how I feel about you.
And she's so cute the way she approaches things. And it's such a lady. I don't know. It's like, it's very responsible. She's not forcing herself. She's not trying to be someone else. She's not trying to be creepy. Like, you know, obviously I'm describing someone else. She's just everything, like her laugh, her approach, the way she phrases things. The way she phrases it, I'm like, is this Korean drama? What am I watching?
Well,
I'm sorry.
I mean, she's being ridiculous right now.
I'm a huge fan. That's why.
There was a point where, so essentially what happened was Vivi confronts Ryo about their relationship, and she wants them to solidify what they have. You know what I mean? Like, make it official, right?
Yeah, because he's flirting
like
with her.
DTF. Like, let's define the relationship. Oh, DTR. Define the relationship, right?
You know, DTF is
yeah, down to
something
fuck.
No, it's in Taiwan.
Okay, my bad. That's definitely not what it is. But yeah, but they want to define the relationship, and Ryo is very wishy-washy, which I understand is it's kind of obnoxious, right? It's like, you have been flirting, you have been doing this and that. But his reasoning for not wanting to commit to her is the fact that she's an actress and she's going to move to LA. He doesn't like long distance relationships, which for me, I felt was a cop out, right? That wasn't the case. That might be a slight reason why you don't want to, but that's just the thing that he's holding on to say, like, I'm not ready to commit to you. Right?
Yeah.
And for her, I think because she's so in love, she's like, oh, well, I never said that I was going to leave outright.
Yeah.
But she couldn't really read between the lines of like, he's actually not that committed to me.
I think and I totally understand why she couldn't read between the lines, because he responded to her by flirting back.
Yeah, but flirting doesn't mean shit though. Like,
for her, that's all she sees. She has a filter.
Well, because she's just in love with him.
Exactly. So she wants to make sure, like, any opportunity where she could catch him, she will take it. You know? So even at the end, when they decided that, hey, it's not going to happen, she went all out. And that was an amazing moment.
Yeah. I mean, she was so at this point, like, if you guys haven't seen it, stop listening here. But there was Ryo's going to leave the house, and then she just had this K-drama like moment where she almost was kissing him to convince him to stay.
Yeah.
It was like she had that conviction. She literally grabbed his face and kissed him in the most non-Japanese way possible, which was very, very American kissing.
Also, it was very romantic to me.
It was very romantic, but you could even tell, like, even the way he was kissing her back, he was unsure.
But he didn't back off.
Of course, who the hell would?
Well, that's the thing. So she's like, there's that even 1% chance of it. And so, you know, spoiler alert again, when he
alert.
I can't talk.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. After he leaves, they still communicate. And what Vivi has said is that she wanted to stop talking to him. But as soon as she did that, Ryo would text her even more to get her attention.
It's just a weird game of cat and mouse. Like, it's
just, he just wanted both. He's like, I love our chemistry, and
I like basketball.
And I like basketball. I want to keep both, but I don't want to commit.
Yeah, you can't have your cake and eat it too, guy. It doesn't work that way. Especially because she's more committed to him than she is than he is to her.
And that really hurt to see, like, what the pain she was going through. That's why I can't sympathize with Ryo. It's just like, you're going back and forth. You said that it cannot happen, yet you're texting her so often, and you're saying, let's give it a try.
A lot of guys do that shit though.
Bastards.
Not even guys, like girls do that too a lot.
Girls do that
like
too.
People always want what they can't have, right?
Yeah.
And the moment it starts to slip away, they start to reach out a little more. But that's why even like when people give advice about how to get guys or how to get women, they teach you about not being too readily available.
Yeah.
It's about kind of playing that fine balance of like, you can have me, but let's just, we'll see about that.
In Korean, you call that 밀당.
밀당? Why?
밀당.
Oh, yeah.
당기고.
But that's the fun part, right? Because there's even
it's a
for
game.
me, even for me, I've never liked a girl who has outright liked me. I like chasing, and I like a little bit of give back and forth.
Take.
Give and take.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Is that what we did?
Oh, trust me, you did that too much. I was gonna leave. I should have left. This woman just back and forth all the time.
I'm just natural.
You just didn't know what the hell you wanted. You're too busy trying to date other people.
I know. I totally forgot about that. I don't even remember their names.
I don't remember their names either, but I remember that they went mountain biking a lot. And then so this, she used to do some annoying thing. She would mention about the other guy's accolades to me, like, they mountain bike, they do this, and I'm like, and I literally got sick of it, and I told her like, I don't like this, like I don't like it when you do this.
being transparent, be like, hey, we're dating other people, so I'm telling you who I dated.
Yeah, but you were doing it in a way of you saying things that they do versus what I do, which I didn't like, and I was like, either you like me or you don't.
Whatever, you still liked me.
Yeah, so I laid it down. I was like, David So don't play no games, woman. And I said that when I put a cigar in my mouth, I went, David, actually, it was a bubble pipe. David So don't play no games like that. You like me, woman? What's up? And the little bubbles started coming out.
Oh, man. And then you got high.
Oh, yes, I got high from the bubbles. I got really, really high from the bubbles. Yeah, but it's so weird when I watched how you guys were just like fawning over this guy, which I got. He's very charming and charismatic, but then he
spoke really well.
Yeah, but it switched right when you saw a little thing that you thought you didn't really agree with, and suddenly he's the enemy.
He was. It's one of those like, I knew it. He can't be perfect.
But he was never.
But he's not a bad person.
No, I don't think he's a bad person.
He's actually fairly young. He's trying to pursue his dream, which I think it was a very good decision that he made that call. Mm-hmm. It's just I wish he committed after he left. Instead, he wanted
Instead of going back and forth, right?
And he didn't want to be in front of the camera doing that.
It's a little irresponsible on his part, in terms of like him kind of not committing to what he said he was going to do. But I was also disappointed in Vivi too. It's like, you're letting this guy control your emotions.
Totally.
Like,
she said, it's your call. Do you want this or not?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
No, it's your call. It's like, it's your call. And I think that was the one time like Vivi, she kind of disappointed me. I'm like, you have every power right now to take this power in your hands and say, hey, you told me what you wanted, I really sweat. She could have made out with him. And when he called back, you don't pick up the fucking phone, Vivi. But she was so in love with him, she had to pick up the phone. I was like, you just showed your whole hand to this dude.
Yeah. Yep. But that's the Korean drama part that I love.
It's like
one of those, like, it's over. And then you think it's over. And then you go, pew, pew. And there's a chance. There's a moment.
If you guys watch the scene where they made out, it was the most dramatic K-drama thing I've ever seen. Even the lines were so beautiful.
That's the thing. The phrase, like, Ryo talks very well. Like, he's very good at saying things in, like to learn a lesson. And Vivi just always have these drama lines and it's so good. I'm like, how did you think of that line?
Her Japanese is fucking amazing. Like,
I have my Japanese friends text me saying how amazing her Japanese is.
Like, I don't even speak Japanese like that, but just listening to her, I'm like, is her Japanese that damn good? Because there's a certain level of when you guys, yeah, like, oh my God, relax. If you guys don't speak a second language, there's levels to this shit, right? So like my Korean level is like that of like a 4-year-old. Right. So I can communicate what I need to communicate.
It's more than 4.
Okay. But
it's like a grandma. No, it's like an old lady.
It's an old lady, but I can communicicate decently well, right? Like if I went to Korea, I'd be fine. I might get made fun of, but I would just tell them I'm Chinese and I'll be okay. I'm Taiwanese and they'll be like, oh, your Korean's pretty damn good for being a Taiwanese dude. And there's this other level when they start to speak about like the way she and I are speaking English right now, where I can elaborate what I'm saying with just a larger vernacular. That's the level that Vivi's at.
Oh, yeah.
It's like she could speak Japanese like I can speak English.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is so crazy.
Yeah.
It blows my mind.
And she does it so well. She articulates her lines so well. That's why I think she's so mature, like compared to other kids.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking like that they're kids, but other roommates that she has, like she could speak so well, give advice so well, and it's not even her first language.
It was the way she would give advice too. When she was giving advice, I'm like, that's how I talk. Like it took me till I'm fucking 32. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
How's a 24-year-old talking like that? It blows my mind because people usually her age that say that they're mature and they try to give people advice.
It's very
immature. Not like that.
No.
It's very immature and it's dumb because I was that age and I thought I was smart. but she's the only person I know at the age of 24 that I feel knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
And it might be because she made the big move at 18 to move to another country and grow up.
Yeah.
So she's experienced these things of having to grow up, these interpersonal relationships from working, being in school in a completely foreign area where
especially the culture difference between Russia and Japan.
Oh, she even said too, I think she said that, I forgot, somebody said something to her in German and she said she speaks Japanese better than she does German now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which is amazing.
Yeah,
she's so cute too. She's so damn cute.
She is so cute.
The first thing that Mariel said when she saw it, she goes, look at that body. Girls are so fun. Girls check out other girls more than guys check out girls.
Oh, you have no idea how much we check out each other's body.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
She's super cute.
She got an amazing body, but most of all, amazing personality.
There's one girl on the show that I really, really just, it's hard to like. It's this girl, Hannah.
Hannah, not
Hannah. Hannah is so hard to like. And
hers is up and down. I'm like, oh, she's getting better. And then
it was so weird because Hannah on the show also had a huge crush on Ryo, and she would just be sobbing, crying her eyes out because Ryo was giving more attention to Vivi. Number one, little child. You guys didn't even have a relationship. So what are you crying about? Yeah. Number two, she was like upset that Vivi was taking over or whatever, but Vivi was taking an initiative. You didn't. You kind of stood back and you expected things to just happen. And then you got upset and you were crying about something that you didn't take the initiative to change. You just expected him to fall in love with you. It's like, why?
She never had a relationship.
Yeah, it's like just because you're around, it does. Yeah. And then her friends were so fucking dumb.
You know what I think though? I mean, Vivi obviously grew up
a lot of life experiences.
A lot of life experience. I'm sure she encountered a lot of people growing up, like not only in Europe but also in Japan. Whereas Hannah, she grew up in a bubble. She also plays sports. She's a professional wrestler, and I'm sure she grew up with certain people for a really long time, and she's living in that bubble, so she doesn't know what's outside of that. And I'm sure she didn't have that social experience that Vivi would have had.
I think the annoying thing was that her friends too were just as inexperienced, but they're trying to give her life advice. It was like, there was this part in the show, this was the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. It was like, oh, if you bring your glass closer to him and he doesn't push it away, that means that he likes you. It's like, are you fucking 3 years old? All three of you grown ass women?
You know what they say? Sports players, they are a lot more innocent than
because they just focus
else
on their sport.
Yeah, they're just more pure and innocent.
And on the show, I wanted to rip my teeth out watching her scooch over her little glass to see if he would push it away, and she looks so fucking desperate. It's like, bitch, get your shit together, man.
It only took like part 2, the whole season, for her to realize, okay, I have no chance with him.
He doesn't like you, right? And so she's just like scooting over her wine glass or her glass over to see if he, for some reason, and it reminded me of like, I forgot it was in the Hawaii season where they told Yusuke like, oh, wear this t-shirt. It shows you're more mature. Girls will like that. Who the fuck told you that your fucking t-shirt is the reason why this girl's gonna like you? Who the fuck says this? You're taking advice from people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
You know, they're the people that they're surrounded by. So that's all you learn.
Oh
right?
My God.
That's exactly the point, is that you're surrounded by certain people that has limited experience. So that's all you're going to know. So she's in that wrestling world with those friends. That's all they know.
And like her obnoxious behavior that she has is that when she has to talk about something serious or be real about stuff, she starts giggling uncontrollably. So it's like, how is anybody supposed to take you serious? And then you get upset for people not taking you serious.
Yeah.
And it's weird too, because on that end, she's also a type of person that what I've seen on the show, and the reason why I'm saying this, I'm committing to this concept of who this person is because from my personal experience from certain people from Terrace House, the show does a good job of representing who these people are. So,
oh God.
She has this weird thing of kind of like putting herself above people in terms of her opinion when she has very little life experience, and she's like clearly a big fuck up herself, right? So she has this thing of like, oh, I can say what I want, this is how I feel, and she's very adamant about her position, which is okay. I think that's fine, but it's like turn the tables around and look at the flaws of yourself. Like you can't be in this like put yourself up on a pedestal when you're arguably beneath these other people.
I wonder is because her profession, she's a really good professional wrestler,
very good performer. Yeah,
obviously, like she's up there, and that's her entire life. I mean, she didn't have a relationship. I think her family is in that industry too, so that's all she knows, and she's the best. So who's gonna be out there telling her that she's lower than anyone?
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, she's like on the far spectrum of like hyper emotional, like crying and sobbing. And then it's on the other end of just like completely unempathetic up to like how other people are. Like she had this one, well, they became really good friends later.
Emika? Yeah.
But literally she's like outing her out in front of the guy that she likes or has a crush on, right? And she goes, well, why can't I say this stuff about you to him in front of him when that's how you actually feel? It's like, okay, bitch. So when we tell you things in confidence, you're just going to go ahead and blab it to somebody right in front of them, you dumbass.
It's like one of those
it's like, that's like, it's true though, isn't it? It's like, cool. Also, like,
it's because she hasn't experienced it herself, so she's only thinking about the scenario, but like, what's wrong with that? You know what I mean? It's like people.
She would hate it if somebody did that to her though. It's like 100, like facts.
But she doesn't know because she never experienced it. So it's like one of those like where people haven't gone into a relationship and then they have all these like scenarios, imaginations. Like, I don't understand. Why are you crying and still be with him?
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like for her, it's like, if you don't have that experience, how dare you have such a harsh like opinion about that stuff?
Because humans have opinions.
Yeah. Which is perfectly fine. But it's like kind of how she went about it that was really terrible.
Yeah. She just basically needs more life experience.
Yeah. That was the first taste of her that I was like, I don't like you. It's like, you can't.
Yeah, it scared me.
Like you don't just go out and out somebody out like that you're supposed to be your friends with. And then all of a sudden you start like, oh, don't you like this person in front of the guy? It's like, why don't you just shit on her chances?
I think it's a very good experience for her to be in.
She needs that show for sure, because her once again, her reasoning for saying that stuff is like, well, it's true. You do feel that way, right? It's like, cool. If that's the case too, right, and there's no nuance to relationships or conversations, and we're not going to consider other people's feelings, we can say whatever. It's like,
which is not Japanese culture
at all.
Yeah. So I'm like, where are you?
Like, where did the fuck did you get? Or it's just not
wrestlers not have that.
Well, it's just not polite at all in any type of sense. It's like, cool. It's like, what if she did that to you? Like, you like Ryo, and then as you guys are having dinner, she goes, "Hey, didn't you say this about Ryo yesterday? About you think his dick is going to be really nice or some shit like that?"
Oh God.
Right? And then it's like, oh, why would you say that? It's like, well, it's true, right? That is what you said. There's a lot of things that are true that we just don't say. Like, you jackass. Like, what's wrong with you? But then she's like that type of person, but then she still has that's why her character is so weird. Like, I'm like, who are you?
It's very interesting. This season is just a lot of different characters.
And then remember when Vivi and Ryo were flirting, and then over the stairs, she's just like a little fucking pervert. Hana's peeking over, staring at them like a creep. It's like, bitch.
It shows just how
childish she is. Very innocent.
Very pure, I would say. Yeah, very innocent and pure. She's a kid, and
it's like, what the hell were you thinking, man? Like, what were you doing?
I think that's why it's a very good idea for your kids or people to have experience outside of your bubble.
Traveling is the biggest thing for people.
Living abroad,
living with people that you know that you don't really know. That's why college is for sure for me. When I have when we have kids, even if college isn't their life, they don't want to. I want them to at least go to college for at least a year. I want them to experience dorm experience. Being in a situation where you're forced to live with other people who have different life experiences as you, and just kind of being in that weird, it's a weird situation. Like, whenever in your life are you going to go to a new place, a new school, new people, forced to live with these people who live different, you have different cleanliness standards, right? Eat different foods. It's a really huge growing experience. Even if our kid says like, hey, I don't think I'm going to use college, it's like, cool.
I hope.
I still want you.
I had a great experience. Like, I went to so many different schools in college that I think it was a lot of work and really hard, but at the same time, it was very rewarding, just the amount of experience that I got from it.
Yeah. And I agree too. Like, even with my dad he kind of forced me to go to Riverside. I'm glad I got to live that dorm experience, because if not, first of all, I wouldn't have that story about Weird Andy. And there's another story about this other guy named Andrew Jang, this other guy named Darren. I got weird stories from these people. Like, we'll tell it another time. But it was a huge growing experience because I got to learn what it was like to live with people that you just don't agree with. One time too, this other Japanese kid that I live with, I almost fucking killed this guy because he was so fucking disgusting. Like, he would never clean his dishes. And
it's so weird.
What are you talking about?
Because when they're kids, or is he from Japan?
He's a Japanese American.
Oh, that's why.
Like third, fourth generation.
So I'm saying Japanese kids, they grow up learning how to clean and take care of themselves.
I found out why he was like that though. Why? And this was actually my first lesson of like, oh, you really are a product of your environment. His mom, sweetest lady ever. She worked at the post office. Post office lady took him so his father passed away when he was really young. He's actually not a bad dude. It's just because he was a little pampered little bitch growing up, because his mom, I think because his dad passed away when he was younger, and his mom is doing double work. But for me at the time, all I thought was like, how dare you be like this when your mom is doing so much work for you to make sure that you have this life. But his mom pampered him a lot. So he never had to make his own food, never had to clean up after himself. And I found this out when I spent the night at his place. He lived in Torrance, and then we were kicking it, and he was like, oh, why don't you come over and just sleep at my spot in Torrance, and just to get out of LA.
Yeah.
Crashed at his place, spent the night there, and I was like, his mom literally is just one step away from wiping his ass at the age of like 19, 18.
Interesting.
And so I was like, oh, that's why he is the way that he is.
That's interesting because I have to admit, like, I've been well pampered too. Like, I have my grandma doing everything for me, but when I got into college, like, I took care of myself so well. I mean, till this day, like, I am very
he didn't
clean.
He long story short, he didn't clean up any of his dishes. He was super sloppy and messy. Wouldn't take responsibility for the stuff that he was doing, and it got to the point where, I wasn't as straightforward as I am now, but I was pretty straightforward in the sense of like, hey, bro, can you like clean your dishes today?
Did he have any siblings?
No, only child. And I was like, yo, can you clean your dishes? And I asked him multiple times. I forgot how many times now. I don't remember the specific details anymore.
Interesting.
But
I'm going to have my kids help me out for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a good... that's what I liked about Japanese culture. Like, even when you saw...
Vivi?
Hana. When she's a wrestler, right?
Yeah.
Like, these people are performers, but it's still their duty to clean the gym. It teaches you community. Like, this is a space that you use, so you should respect it as such. I fucking love that.
Yeah.
I also like in Japanese culture, in Japanese grade school, where there is no janitor.
Nah.
The kids are the ones that cleans the place because this is a place that you use.
They sometimes make their own food too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because it also teaches you to respect the place because it's like, if you cleaned it up, you for sure won't be putting gum everywhere because you're going to be the person that has to scrape that off.
Exactly. You work for that cleanness, so you make sure that you take care of that space.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because when I was a kid, I remember this. Like, I would ask my grandma, I'd be like, can I help you wash the dishes or can I help you cook? But she always said no. But I was always the one who would be like, I want to do it. But I never got the chance to because she would be like, no, it's just too much work.
Yeah, it's too much work to teach you than for me just to do it.
Yeah. But regardless, like, I think so. I think in my opinion, like from what I've experienced, like living with so many different roommates, like I was very considerate and make sure that, my stuff wouldn't get in the way for them. Like I remember when I moved to Berkeley and got a new roommate in a freaking tiny ass room, she's like, oh, I'll bring the vacuum. It's like, okay, I'll clean my section. Like she brought the vacuum and I clean our room. It's like, let's just make the deal. Like, I'll make sure it's clean. You just bring the vacuum. So like, I always made sure like our place was clean. And she was very respectful of my section. I was very respectful of her section. So like, we wouldn't cross each other.
Oh man, let me tell you about respect. I had this roommate named Daniel Wu. I grew up with him in Sacramento and everything too. He lived in my neighborhood. This dude was so fucking filthy, but so respectful. He was so fucking filthy and respectful. I mean, like we split our dorm room, right? Half. So he had his bunk, I had my bunk on the other side. He was so fucking disgusting. I would only vacuum my side, but my side was so clean. You could see a color difference from his carpet to mine, but there was a perfect line and his stuff never went over to my side. That's how respectful he was.
Interesting.
But fucking filthy.
See, I did both. I vacuumed her section and my section. I don't think she was... No, she was very clean too. She was messy, but I was more clean, I guess. Or no, she was more or less like messy, but her stuff would never come over to mine. But when I need to vacuum, she would always be very respectful and like clean up so that I could clean it. Yeah. Well,
that's just roommate love.
It's just how we grew up, I guess. Yeah.
I don't know, man, but definitely college is one of those experiences that I do want our kids to experience eventually. Yeah. Just it's a unique experience that you'll never.
Absolutely. Hopefully by then it's still around. Like, I mean, after this.
Hopefully then by then college won't be so fucking expensive, man.
Or this whole COVID thing. I'm like, I don't know how our lifestyle is going to change.
They're going to find a vaccine and then our lives will go back the same. It might be a seasonal thing though, like seasonal COVID is what they're saying. So like the flu. So we have to be pretty serious about getting those vaccinations. If not, if you don't want to get the vaccine, then you'll probably die. So deal with it then. Well, guys, this wraps up this episode of the Genius Brain Podcast. You can find Mariel on Instagram at Mariel __song. Interesting talking about Terrace House and a bunch of other shit, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we will see you guys next time. Remember, every Thursday and Sundays is a Genius Brain podcast. And yeah, man, we'll fucking talk to you then. Stay cool, stay sexy, and be cute, guys. I love you, bitches.